Ms. Mukwena, good morning, welcome, and thank you very much for your time.
Okay, good morning.
You find yourself in a difficult situation because of this theft of electricity.
Yes, we do.
And how deep is it? How wide is it?
Yeah. In Gauteng, for an example, we have recorded about 11.4% losses, and this is mainly due to non-technical losses. And non-technical losses as a result of people or customers that are breaching our meters, that are tampering with our meters, and people that are illegally connecting or tampering on our networks. So if you look at that, the 11.4% losses, and you look at Gauteng only as distribution Gauteng, we have spent about R500 million in maintaining our networks. And you know, the biggest portion of that R500 million is mainly on replacing assets that have failed as a result of these illegal connections or illegal operating of our networks, particularly our transformers and mini-subs. Now, definitely we cannot continue like that by experiencing losses at that high rate and also replacing these assets that are failing at a frequent rate.
But you still have the problem of illegal connections, for example, what you call izinyoga, as they say.
Yes.
And how are you going to deal with that? Because I would guess it might not be safe for your personnel to access some of those areas.
Yes, it is not safe. Hence, because the part where now we have illegal connections from, say, for instance, your informal settlements, because these are growing at a higher rate in Gauteng specifically. So the informal settlement will then connect on our networks illegally. But because it's unsafe for our guys to operate or our technicians to operate on these networks, and not necessarily just to operate, but when they try to actually remove these illegal connections, then they get resistance or they get attacked by these same communities. So hence, we work very closely with your SAPS, your POPs and your JMPD. So when we remove these illegals, we actually have joint operations with them to remove them so that you know, it becomes safe for our technical staff not to be attacked.
In the interim, you've announced that you will not restore power to those areas where people have got illegal connections and where people are not paying.
Yes.
How feasible is that? I'm asking this because, you know, most of those areas, as you say, they are unsafe. There's a lot of crime there. We are working with the police, and when there's no light, crime might be exacerbated.
Yeah. Look, what we're saying, and we've been actually doing this since the past year, where proactively we've been analyzing all our transformer zones, for an example, or feeders, where actually there are high losses. Where what we do is go in and audit our meters. Where people have bypassed these meters, then we'll disconnect and fine them. So in a prepaid environment, we'll fine them about 6,052 rands. So once the customer has paid that fine, we'll reconnect.
So are currently other customers that you've disconnected, that you've not restored the power to, that fall under this category?
Yes, so that was the proactive activity that we had started with. But again, as I said to you, that also on maintenance side, we actually spending that R500 million. And that R500 million, as I said, the most contributing factor is the replacement of transformers and mini-subs. So currently, because it's winter, because of the overloading now, these transformers are failing at a very high rate. Hence, we're saying before we can replace these transformers, so basically we are servicing all the areas, but we're saying before we can actually replace this transformer or mini-sub, which would have affected a number of people, let us start by auditing our meters and making sure that we disconnect to those that have bypassed meters, so that we actually deal with the root cause of actually these high failure rates that we are
How
experiencing.
confident is Eskom that you can really resolve this problem and minimize or reduce in an effective way the theft of electricity?
Look, I think we are succeeding in areas like, for an example, you know, in your Katle home. It's not just a Soweto problem, by the way. In Diepsloot, where we would have audited, customers are accepting us now, or accepting the way we are doing things, to say, because it doesn't help. I mean, if I'm going to replace the transformer today, if I didn't audit, because the following day or 2 days later, that transformer fails again. So I think customers, because in the interim, we also, you know, in the process, we also educating customers about.
So you find there's a willingness to really
change behavior, because this culture obviously is coming from, you know, it's a historical thing, and for us to change that culture, it will take us time, but at least now we're seeing that change from our customers to say, we are willing for you to come in and do your audits and disconnecting, and then we leave those customers that have paid or that are paying on. And yeah, and we then monitor those that are coming in to pay those fines, and then we reconnect them.
Ms. Mukona, thank you very much. We wish you well. We'll touch base with you, because this is a huge problem. If you're spending R500 million on maintenance alone, that's a lot of money that could be going elsewhere.
Only in Gauteng.
Just in Gauteng. Thank you very much. Eskom's Customer Service Senior Manager, Daphne Mukwena, talking to us.